Well, bonjour, hello everyone, and good afternoon. And it's good to be back here in the Plastic Action Zone and to see everyone. I am going to be emceeing for this afternoon. My name is Julie Dabrusin. I'm the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change and the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. And today we're talking about plastics, no surprise there. We know plastic pollution is everywhere. It's what we see on our streets, our beaches, it's floating in our waterways, caught up in tree branches along the way. And then those are the obvious ones, the parts we see, but they're all the parts that we don't see just with our eyes day to day. But it's the microplastic particles that are being found right now from polar ice caps to the depths of our oceans. And we're seeing now that they're in our food and in our bodies. Single-use plastic packaging has increased exponentially, and we know that a very, very small amount of that is being recycled. So the plastic waste problem keeps growing, and it's breaking down in our environment at a huge cost. We have the solutions to make it cheaper and easier for industry and the public at large to reuse plastics, and we can support jobs and workers and economic growth while helping to displace existing practices that rely heavily on difficult to recycle and disposable or single-use plastics. So that's the goal of zero plastic waste and a circular economy. And that is why what we're going to be talking about today is a big step in the right direction. Les organisations comme le Circular Innovation Council, Allix Industries et Circulr utiliseront ce financement qu'on va annoncer aujourd'hui pour mettre au point des solutions circulaires, notamment pour les secteurs de l'emballage, de l'agriculture, des textiles, de l'automobile, de la construction et de la santé, ainsi pour les infrastructures de recyclage. Alors, on va voir beaucoup de travail qui va se passer ici avec tout le monde qui est là avec nous. Nous avons déjà créé les défis canadiens d'innovation sur les plastiques pour financer les entreprises de secteurs reconnus pour générer les taux parmi les plus élevés de déchets de plastique et de la pollution. Alors, chers amis, tout le monde a un rôle à jouer pour réduire les déchets en plastique et pollution, et nous ne pouvons pas régler le problème tout seul. Nous devons travailler ensemble, et c'est exactement ce qu'on va faire aujourd'hui. Alors, thank you, and I am going to be introducing over to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Minister Guilbeault, who has been a tremendous champion and somebody who's so amazing to work with side by side, really amazing to be able to be here at the plastics negotiations along his side as we all work together to get to a global plastics treaty.
Merci beaucoup, Julie. C'est un plaisir de travailler avec toi également. Bonjour, good afternoon, everyone. This week is all about tackling plastic pollution, so I'm very happy to be here to share some good news for Canadian innovators who are working to find and advance solutions. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. Plastic pollution, as Julie just said, and many of us know, is everywhere. It poses a threat to wildlife, damages habitat, it messes up our public spaces and waterways, and it is now impacting human health. In 2020, Canadians generated 4.9 million tons of plastic waste. Most of it ended up in landfills, and about 50,000 tons entered the environment as pollution. Everyone plays a role in reducing plastic waste and pollution. The way we are currently recycling plastics just won't cut it. C'est pourquoi je suis très heureux de voir ici le milieu des affaires bien représenté à la 4e séance de l'INC, au moment même où le monde entier négocie les bases d'un accord sans précédent pour lutter contre la pollution plastique. Prenons l'exemple de la coalition des gens d'affaires pour un traité mondial sur les plastiques. Elle représente plus de 200 entreprises et institutions financières au Canada et ailleurs dans le monde. On y trouve certaines des marques de commerce les plus connues sur la planète. Leurs efforts pour la cause montrent l'importance d'avoir des règles mondiales harmonisées pour uniformiser les règles du jeu et prendre en compte l'ensemble du cycle de vie des produits plastiques. Avec la création de produits plus écologiques, c'est un monde rempli de possibilités qui s'ouvrent. Il suffit de penser aux investissements à faire ou aux emplois à créer. C'est encore plus vrai pour les plastiques. The Government of Canada is committed to working collaboratively with governments, industry, and civil society to grow the economy, create jobs, while we protect the environment, including actions to reduce plastic pollution. Which is why I'm here today. Since 2018, Environment and Climate Change Canada has invested over $12 million to support Canadian businesses, not-for-profit organizations, Indigenous communities, and researchers, so they can take action on plastic pollution and build an economy that remanufactures, reuses, and recycles plastic, a circular plastics economy. To do this in a comprehensive way, we will need to mobilize Canadian-made solutions. Today, I'm announcing that the Government of Canada is providing an additional investment of more than $3.3 million to support 21 Canadian businesses and organizations to develop innovative solutions that address plastic pollution. For those of you who were here earlier, we had a panel and we had a business owner, Valérie, who has a couple of zero plastic shops, and she said it would be good if the federal government could invest more in SMEs. Here we are, a few hours later. How fast is that? She asked for it this morning. Here I am. We hadn't planned that at all. The funding is being provided to recipients as part of Canada's Zero Plastic Waste Agenda. Aujourd'hui, j'ai le plaisir d'annoncer que le gouvernement du Canada a investi plus de 3,3 millions de dollars pour appuyer 21 organisations et entreprises canadiennes dans la mise au point de solutions novatrices pour aider à lutter contre la pollution plastique. Ce financement est accordé aux bénéficiaires dans le cadre du programme Zéro déchet plastique du Canada. Specifically, 9 small and medium-sized Canadian companies will receive up to $150,000 each to support development of technologies to address plastic waste and pollution. Right now, too many plastics cannot easily be recycled. Today's investment will help these companies develop environmentally acceptable and cost-effective solutions to improve our ability to reuse plastics or improve the end-of-life management of hard-to-recycle plastic film that is commonly used to wrap consumer products. The rest of the funding, over $2 million, will be distributed among 12 recipients to support the development of circular solutions, including reuse, textile, industrial, commercial, and institutional, plastic beverage containers, and restaurants. These projects will have positive impacts on the environment, help de-risk investment, encourage the adoption and scale-up of circular solutions, so that moving forward, we will live with plastic in a way that is sustainable for generations to come. I extend my heartfelt thanks and congratulations to all 21 recipients for the pursuit of a cleaner, less wasteful way of doing business. Un grand merci et félicitations aux 21 récipiendaires pour la mise en œuvre de solutions nouvelles et novatrices pour lutter contre la pollution plastique. I look forward to hearing about your progress and success and seeing the positive impacts that these projects will have on the environment and the economy. Thank you. Merci.
I like that. It's a lovely tie to this morning's conversation. So thank you, Minister. And next, I'll be introducing Joanne St. Godard, Executive Director, Circular Innovation Council. If you want to.
From here, unless this doesn't work. Oh, there we go. Thank you very much, Minister. And MP Dabrusin, pleasure to see everybody today. My name is Joanne St. Godard. I'm the Executive Director of the Circular Innovation Council. We are a national non-for-profit that works across Canada in accelerating the transition from a linear to a circular economy. And in part of that mandate is actually bringing innovative circular solutions to life and test them in real-world market scenarios. And the funding opportunity that we've received from the Government of Canada brought to life a real-life reuse pilot project that we were able to bring to and conjoin with 3 of Canada's largest grocer industries, or retailers, pardon me, Walmart Canada, Metro, and Empire, or Sobeys and Farm Boy. And combined with that public and private investment, we are launching a pilot right here in Ottawa in June. The innovation is really around bringing this consortium, a very unique consortium of stakeholders together to see if we could have them share containers, both in terms of reducing the cost, in terms of capital investment and creating a system for them that they can share in terms of distribution and sanitization of these containers, but also fundamentally to make it recognizable and mostly convenient and simple for their consumers, so that no matter where you go to shop in Ottawa, you'll be able to get access to these containers and to drop them to any of these participating retailers. The other aspect to this that is innovative is we won't stop at the grocery retailers. We'll be working in the pilot area to actually onboard and make offerings to all the restaurants and other food eateries to actually get access to the same containers that the grocery industries will be using as well. We know that reuse, in order for it to make the impacts on single-use plastics in the way that it's designed and capable of doing, is going to take a consortium and approach and to bring it to scale. And this is our approach to doing that. We also know that according to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, it's a $56 billion opportunity to grow reuse at scale, and we aim to prove the economic advantages of that as well. So not possible without the funding from the federal government, and we look forward to all of you using the reusable containers on Bank Street coming to you in June. Thank you very much.
I always love the local connections where people can actually visualize it and know. So we're going to be watching for that. Thanks, Joanne. Next, I'll be introducing Miral Toufaili, Vice President of Allix Industries, and it's your choice here from there.
I can stay here. Thank you. Bonjour, good afternoon. The modern approach to industry has been generating plastic waste at an unprecedented scale. And one of the places that we have a lot of waste from single-use plastic is when we ship products from one business to another. Products are normally put on a pallet and they are wrapped with a single-use plastic. To give you an idea of the amount of waste generated in plastic, two simple standard pallets, the length of plastic required would be taller than the Peace Tower of the Parliament Hill for only two. When products reach their destination, the plastic is removed and discarded, which also creates that logistical problem where how do we discard such a huge volume of plastic? To help reduce the single-use plastic footprint, we came up with the solution to replace the single-use plastic wrap with a durable, reusable, and an easy-to-wrap around sleeve. Because we are an automation company, we are pairing our sleeve with a machine that will automatically put the sleeve around the pallet. And this is the same way that the business standard is for a single plastic wrap for a pallet. Our sleeve will be reused until it is recycled at the end of life. Our objective is to build a solution that is a viable alternative to the current wasteful practices, and in which the businesses, they have both the financial and the environmental need to to use our solution. Thank you for granting us this opportunity. We're a small Canadian business, and we're very happy to be part of the journey to a sustainable nation. Thank you.
The same size as a Peace Tower. Like that's an unbelievable fact. So thank you for sharing that. And now we'll be going to Charles Binks-Collier, Chief Executive Officer of Circulr.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, and thank you, Minister Steven Guilbeault, for reminding us why it's so important to invest in circular economy innovation. But none of us would be here today without the work of Environment and Climate Change Canada and the teams from Innovative Solutions Canada. It's their work pushing these innovative circular economy solutions forward that we can actually make a change in the world. It's all the innovators, the entrepreneurs around us that can actually make this change. At Circulr, Joanne did a great job of actually describing why reuse is so important. Our company is focusing on a way to help consumer packaged goods companies reuse that packaging. We want to make it easy for consumers to participate and financially viable, most importantly, for these businesses to actually take action. And it's through the innovation and investment into our business that we're actually able to accomplish that. But it's not just, private enterprises that can make all the change. It's the perfect, backdrop, us being here at INC4, to actually talk about its communities, its organizations, it's our governments who can make these standards, these binding agreements to actually curb plastic pollution right from the source. And so we're so excited because we feel like Canada's the perfect place to do this. Our national identity is so closely tied to our natural beauty. So it's really, truly the best place to start it. I mean, I started our business because of that love for our natural environment, and I'm sure many of you are here today for that same love. So I'm so excited to get started, but I just want to end it off with, us innovators and entrepreneurs can, lead the charge, but it's all of us coming together to change the, take, make, waste society we've become so accustomed to, and really change, and charge towards a more sustainable future. So thank you.
All right, so we see that Canada has a lot of really good stuff happening right here, and I think that it shows why we can really play a leadership role going forward and in these global plastics treaty negotiations. I'm going to be inviting Nicole up to be our moderator for some questions and answers.
Hello. So as mentioned, we will now be doing the Q&A session for media. Nous passerons maintenant à la session de questions et réponses pour les médias. There are 2 mics on either side of the room. Before asking your question, please state your name and media outlet, please.
Mia Rabson from the Canadian Press. I'm wondering, Minister Guilbeault, if you could provide some more information on the comments made by the Prime Minister just earlier today that Saskatchewan's carbon rebates will not be impacted by Saskatchewan's decision on natural gas.
Yeah. So I think what the Prime Minister said is that the people of Saskatchewan shouldn't have to pay for the fact that their government is being irresponsible with carbon pricing. And the Prime Minister said that he has great faith in the ability and the tools that are at the disposal of CRA, the Canadian Revenue Agency, to ensure that the government of Saskatchewan pays what is owed to the federal government.
Okay, and following up just on the plastics treaty negotiations, there is some sense from some of the comments that have been made that a watered-down treaty might be acceptable just in order to get an agreement in place that might not address a ban on or a limit or cap on plastic production. Do you think that a treaty is acceptable without any kind of limit on plastic production?
No, I don't. And frankly, what I've heard in the last 2 days of the ministerial roundtables we've had and conversation with many different countries is that people just don't want an agreement. They want an ambitious agreement. There was a statement issued by the High Ambition Coalition to Fight Plastic Pollution on April 2nd, which has lays all of the elements of what we need to have an ambitious treaty at the end of the next negotiating session. And that statement was signed by 65 or 66 countries. So about close to a third of the world's countries signed on to this. We have countries from all over the world. And I'm confident that not only will we have a treaty by the end of the year, but we will have an ambitious treaty.
Hi, Minister. Chris Rans, the Parliamentary Bureau of the CBC. Just following up on the business with Saskatchewan, please, could you explain what will happen with this decision and where does things lie with your dealings with the provincial government? Et aussi en français pour les personnes de Francescois qui parlent français.
I have the pleasure of serving as Canada's Environment and Climate Change Minister and not as the President of the Canadian Revenue Agency. So I can't in detail tell you what is going to happen, but the Prime Minister has tasked the CRA to ensure that the money that is owned by the government of Saskatchewan to the federal government is collected. And then the CRA has an array of quasi-judicial tools to be able to get money that it's owed to them, whether it's by individual companies or, in that case, a province. And I think what the Prime Minister said this morning is that he has great confidence that the CRA will be able to achieve this goal. Je vais répéter en français. Donc, ce que le Premier ministre a dit ce matin, c'est que le rabais sur la tarification carbone allait être retourné à la population de la Saskatchewan, même si le gouvernement de la Saskatchewan n'a pas remis ces fonds-là au gouvernement. Le Premier ministre estime que la population ne devrait pas avoir à payer pour l'irresponsabilité du gouvernement de la Saskatchewan et il a confié le mandat à l'Agence du revenu qui a des outils quasi-judiciaires de s'assurer à ce que l'argent que la Saskatchewan doit au gouvernement fédéral soit collecté d'une manière ou d'une autre.
And to expand a bit more, sir, for people in Fort Capel, Regina, Lloydminster, Gravelbourg, what does it mean for them, please, both languages?
Well, it means that 4 times a year they will get the Canada carbon rebate, as do other Canadians and provinces where the federal system is applied, and they won't be penalized because their Premier Scott Moe, is playing politics with climate change. And the Prime Minister and I think Cabinet felt that it wouldn't be fair for the people of Saskatchewan to pay for the irresponsible attitude of the provincial government. Ce que ça veut dire pour les gens de la Saskatchewan, c'est que comme tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes dans les provinces où le système fédéral de tarification carbone s'applique, ces gens-là auront droit au rabais, au retour sur la tarification carbone qui est versée 4 fois par année et que ces personnes-là ne devraient pas être pénalisées par l'irresponsabilité du gouvernement de Scott Moe.
Judy Trin with CTV National News. Minister, can you give us a sense of how much your department, how much you were consulted as a Minister of the Environment and Climate Change before the Prime Minister made this announcement? What kind of heads up were you given?
Well, obviously, as you know, cabinet conversations are confidential, but we've had conversation with the Prime Minister and cabinet colleagues on this very important issue.
How are you feeling that this issue is once again coming up at this time when Canada is on the global stage hosting a very important UN conference and this issue of carbon rebates, carbon pricing, carbon tax is rearing its head at a time? Does it show perhaps that Canadians may not be as on board with these environmental measures as your government hopes? I've
had the pleasure of serving as Canada's Environment and Climate Change Minister now for more than for almost 3 years. And I've spoken with some of my peers from all around the world. And all of us would be challenged to find an environment minister somewhere in the world that would tell you, easy peasy, fighting climate change, fighting plastic pollution, achieving our Kunming-Montreal agreement. These are difficult things to do. Because for decades, we as nations polluted without thinking too much of the consequences of that pollution, whether it's plastic pollution, whether it's climate change pollution, and now we're trying to do things differently. And these are difficult things to do, whether you're in South America, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Asia, European Union, and I think that the reason why we get together, one of the reasons, obviously, is to, in the case of plastic, is to adopt an ambitious treaty, but it also so we can exchange experiences, know-how, and expertise on what we are doing to face up to those challenges. So I would make a great distinction between Canadians and what some provincial governments are doing. I think that by and large Canadians are very supportive of climate action. They're very, very supportive of fighting plastic pollution. There are some conservative premiers and the Conservative Party of Canada who've decided to play politics with environmental issues, but I think that by and large that's not where Canadians are. Thank you.
We'll take a question on this side of the room now.
Most of the language around the outcomes of the conference have been calling for ambitious action, but what concrete actions do you hope will be accomplished during INC4?
So today is the first time that negotiators actually start talking about the text that was presented at the end of INC3, the zero draft. And my hope and the goal that we've set for ourselves as Canada, as a host country, is to help nations clean up about 70% of the text before we hand it to the South Koreans. So we think there are a number of, nothing is easy in what we're trying to do here, but I think they are easier things, and we're hoping that we can get a lot of those out of the way, that we can start having conversations about some of the more challenging issues that we need to agree upon. But for this treaty to be an effective treaty, I mean, it needs to be legally binding. And we've already, by consensus, agreed to that in Nairobi about 2 years ago. We want a treaty by the end of the year. Everyone agrees to that. And we want this treaty to eliminate plastic pollution by 2040. So there's not one solution. We won't ban our way out of plastic pollution. We won't recycle our way out of plastic pollution. And we won't reuse our way out of plastic pollution. We need to do a bit of all of these things at different steps and for different types of plastics. Some we need to ban. They're non-recyclable, they're harmful to the environment, to humans, and we have alternatives. Those that we need for different applications, medical application, aeronautics, EV sectors, let's ensure that those plastics have a lot of value and that we keep them in the economy and out of the environment in our bodies. So our hope is to help countries do a lot of the legwork so that in South Korea, at the end of the year, we can focus on a certain number of elements and we can finalize this agreement.
How does something like the ban on plastics that didn't pass, how does that affect Canada's track record on policy related to plastics?
The ban on plastic is still in application in Canada. There was a ruling by a federal court judge on this. We've appealed and we've asked for a stay of the judgment. So right now that regulation still applies in Canada, and we're confident that in the Federal Court of Appeal we will be successful. Thank you.
We'll go ahead over there. Just before asking your question, please clarify your name and media. Veuillez confirmer votre nom et média avant de poser vos questions.
Bonjour, M. Guilbeault. Mylène Crête de la presse. Vous parlez là, des enjeux qui peuvent poser un défi durant cette conférence. Quel est, selon vous, le plus grand défi pour en arriver à un texte plus clean, comme on dit en anglais?
Élagué. Alors, il y a plusieurs décisions qui restent à prendre. Il y a certains pays qui voudraient que les solutions soient mises en œuvre, soient surtout des solutions à la vie, à la fin de vie des plastiques, alors que d'autres, comme le Canada, voulons que nous mettions en place différents types de solutions tout au long de la chaîne de production des plastiques. Donc, moi, je ne pense pas qu'on puisse seulement mettre en place des solutions au niveau du recyclage et espérer arriver à atteindre nos objectifs. Il va falloir éliminer certains plastiques. Il va falloir certainement recycler. Il va falloir faire plus de réutilisation. Il va falloir mieux dessiner des produits dès le départ pour s'assurer qu'ils sont recyclables et qu'ils sont facilement recyclables. Alors, on a besoin d'une panoplie de solutions, mais de penser que tout ce qu'on peut faire, c'est au bout du tuyau. Moi, je n'adhère pas à ça, le Canada n'adhère pas à ça, et la Coalition pour la haute ambition, qui représente plus de 65 pays dans le monde, n'adhère pas à ça également. Il y a plusieurs questions qui sont quand même assez consensuelles. Production élargie des entreprises, la question de l'étiquetage, l'augmentation du pourcentage de produits recyclés dans la fabrication des nouveaux plastiques. Ces éléments-là font l'objet, sinon d'un consensus, du moins la plupart des pays s'entendent là-dessus. Il y a, par exemple, la question, est-ce que nous aurons une liste de plastiques à bannir? Est-ce qu'on peut s'entendre là-dessus d'ici la fin de l'année? Ou est-ce qu'on s'entend sur le fait que nous allons créer une liste et nous allons la populer, cette liste-là, plus tard dans les négociations qui suivront? C'est le genre de discussion que nous allons avoir ici à Ottawa et jusqu'à la fin de l'année en Corée du Sud.
Comment vous pensez que vous pouvez convaincre les pays, justement, qui voudraient que ce soit une solution de recyclage, d'abord et avant tout?
Bien, je pense que la science parle d'elle-même. Le recyclage fait certainement partie de la solution, mais il y a des plastiques qui sont peu ou pas recyclables. Et même s'ils le sont en théorie, en pratique, c'est impossible de le faire, donc ça devient des plastiques qui sont non recyclables. Il y a toute la question des additifs et de certains agents chimiques que nous savons maintenant. Ces agents-là ont des impacts très importants, soit sur l'environnement, soit sur la santé humaine, parfois les deux. Alors, moi, je suis confiant qu'on va réussir à s'entendre et je vous dirais qu'au cours des 2 derniers jours, on a eu notamment une table ronde ministérielle avant-hier, plusieurs rencontres avec différentes délégations et déjà, depuis la fin de la dernière séance de négociation à Nairobi, on voit que la position de certains pays a évolué sur plusieurs de ces questions-là.
Bonjour, Chantal Louis, Franco-Presse. En lien avec les négociations qui ont lieu en ce moment, est-ce qu'on peut s'attendre à des annonces concrètes pour la production du plastique?
Donc, comme vous le savez probablement, la question de mettre un plafond sur la production de plastique, c'est l'une des options qui est présentement dans le texte de négociation. Vous me demandez est-ce qu'il va y avoir des annonces. Comme vous le savez, on ne va pas conclure les négociations ici à Ottawa. C'est une étape importante dans l'atteinte de nos objectifs d'avoir un traité d'ici la fin de l'année. Notre souhait, et je pense qu'on pourra dire que Ottawa a été un succès, si nous réussissons à faire en sorte qu'il y a énormément d'éléments sur lesquels nous nous entendons ici à Ottawa et qu'on donne aux Sud-Coréens un texte où il reste un certain nombre d'enjeux, mais pas un texte qui devient ingérable lorsque tout ce qu'on a pour arriver à une entente, c'est une rencontre de 9 jours au mois de décembre prochain. Alors, on a beaucoup de, je disais à votre collègue tout à l'heure, d'élagage à faire ici. C'est l'objectif que nous nous sommes donné, mais il ne faut pas penser qu'il va y avoir à la fin de la conférence d'Ottawa une entente sur le texte. Ce n'est pas ce qui est prévu. Nous allons avoir besoin encore de temps. Et d'ailleurs, l'une des propositions de plusieurs pays, dont le Canada, c'est qu'il y ait des séances de négociation entre Ottawa et Busan, ce sur quoi nous n'avons pas pu nous entendre au Kenya. Moi, j'ai bon espoir qu'on va réussir, notamment sur les aspects plus techniques, des aspects plus légaux également. Je pense que les pays ont besoin et les experts ont besoin de continuer le dialogue entre maintenant et INC 5.
Merci. Et concernant, il y a moins de 10% du plastique qui est recyclé en ce moment à travers le monde. Je crois qu'en 2022, vous aviez annoncé que vous vouliez, 2030, on voulait réduire le plastique à 90%, recycler le plastique à 90%.
Recycler.
Oui. Est-ce qu'on revoit ces objectifs parce qu'en 2024, il reste 6 ans et il n'y a pas eu d'augmentation ou de changement?
En fait, il y a plusieurs choses qu'on a fait depuis 2022, notamment donc de bannir certains plastiques à usage unique. Nous travaillons sur une réglementation pour augmenter l'utilisation de plastique recyclé dans la fabrication de plastique. Notre objectif, c'est d'arriver à au moins 50% de plastique recyclé dans la fabrication du plastique. Nous travaillons sur la question de l'étiquetage. Hier, j'ai annoncé le registre sur les plastiques. Donc, nous demeurons l'objectif que nous avons énoncé d'atteindre des taux de recyclage qui sont beaucoup plus élevés au Canada en 2030. Cet objectif-là demeure. C'est certain que ça prend un certain temps à mettre en place les mesures pour y arriver. Ça ne se fait pas en criant ciseaux, mais on y travaille et moi, j'ai confiance qu'on va y arriver. Merci.
This concludes the media Q&A session. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.